Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to make a dessert that I saw that I really wanted to try. And it actually works out because I have a bunch of apples that need to be eaten before they go bad. I mean, I can give them to the girls, but they don't need that many apples, and neither does Willow. So we're going to go ahead and make this. It is a no-bake, what is it called? You saw the title, like caramel apple pie cheesecake parfait thing. So we're gonna make those. So the first step is starting the apple pie filling part to cooking on the stove. So we're gonna go ahead and get that part done, and then we'll come back and I'll show you the rest. I'm so excited because these look like the perfect fall dessert. So the first thing we're gonna do is get our dry ingredients together that we're gonna use in the apple pie filling. Now, before I start anything, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you that I am doubling the recipe. Whoops, I just lost the apple. That one can go outside to the girls. So I am doubling the recipe because I have a lot of apples that need to have something done with them. Somebody will eat these parfaits. I'll either take them to church tomorrow night and give them out, call my neighbors and see if they want some. Somebody will eat these. I'm not worried about what do I do with all these desserts. But all these apples need to have something done with them. So we're doubling it. So if you don't want to make this much, then cut all the ingredients that I'm about to tell you in half and you'll have the original recipe. So first thing is half a cup of sugar, white sugar, and the same amount of brown sugar. Now it says light brown sugar on the recipe. I don't have light, I have dark. So we're just gonna go with what I have. We're talking about caramel here, so I don't see why dark would necessarily be a bad thing. Okay. So that's our sugars. And then we're gonna do 1 tablespoon of cinnamon. As I make a note. And then a half teaspoon. It says sea salt, but again, I'm using what I have on hand. This is pink Himalayan. I guess it is sea salt, but still. Half a teaspoon of salt. And 1 teaspoon of xanthan gum. Got this at Walmart. You probably saw that on my grocery haul. This is going to help thicken it up. This is going to be your thickener. Woo. Okay, now you're going to stir this together. And we're going to set it aside, and then we're going to peel, wash off, peel, core, and chop up pretty small Granny Smith apples. It says 4, the recipe says 4 large Granny Smith apples, so I'm going to go with 8 because like I said, I am doubling it. So we got 2, 4, 6, 8, and then here's an extra just in case. I don't feel like it's enough. And then we are going to get them in this Dutch oven over here. Sprinkle all this on it, add the vanilla, and start it to cooking. So I won't bore you with all that. I'll meet you back here when I've got it all in the Dutch oven. So I got them all chopped, not super tiny, but small enough. So you want to be able to fit them in the top of like a cup, a parfait cup. So there's that, and I've got my bowl of peels and cores to go take outside to the girls. And then I've got my dry ingredients you just saw me mix up. I just kind of mixed them up with a fork. It doesn't have to be perfect because it's about to be all melted anyway. So we're going to add that in there. Stir it to coat the apples. It's already smelling like fall. I love this. I'm so ready for this. And then you're going to add your vanilla after you've coated the apples with the dry ingredients. And you're going to stir it again. And that is going to be 2 teaspoons of vanilla. And y'all know I don't typically measure But we'll just measure this time. Just for kicks and giggles. There's 1, 2. Okay. And then you're gonna turn it on like a medium heat, and you're gonna stir this to keep it from burning. And then once it comes to a simmer, you're gonna simmer and stir constantly for 2 minutes. And then at the end of 2 minutes, you're gonna turn off the heat and move it off the heat and let it sit there and cool. And it will still cook for a little bit while it's cooling. And then while it's cooling, you're gonna make the cheesecake filling. Okay, so we've got it to what I guess they consider a simmer. Like when you look on the bottom, the little caramel spices are all liquid and they kind of bubble. So we're just gonna keep stirring it so that it does not burn on the bottom and stick. And I've got the timer set for 2 minutes. And at the end of 2 minutes, I'm just gonna slide it over, turn the burner off, and then we'll make the cheesecake filling. Now that that is set aside and starting to cool and finish cooking while it cools, we're gonna make the cheesecake filling. So we have in our mixer here 2 8-ounce blocks of cream cheese that has been softened. Now remember, I'm doubling this, so if you're only doing half, only do 1 block of cream cheese. And then to that, we are going to add a half a cup of sugar. So that's 1/4 and a half. Okay. And then we're gonna beat this with the whisk attachment until it is good and creamy and the sugar has dissolved. Now you've got it all creamy. I've scraped the bowl a few times. The sugar is dissolved. You're gonna add in a half a teaspoon of vanilla, thereabouts. Get that mixed in. And then you're gonna turn it down. You're gonna scrape the bowl one more time. And we're gonna add in 4 cups of heavy cream, but you're gonna do it slowly, obviously, because you don't want it to splatter. And then once you get it all in there and it's incorporated, then you can slowly increase the speed and get it all whipped and fluffy. You just don't want any lumps in it. Once you get it all nice and thick and creamy, that's pretty much all it takes. Just take that beater out and it will look like this. Kind of like when you make whipped cream and you get it all nice and thick and stiff peaks, but this has the cream cheese in it, so it's going to be smoother, but you want it big and thick like that so that it holds its shape, and that's what you want it to look like.
Once you get done with that, we need to make the graham cracker crust. In this bowl, I put 2 cups of graham cracker crumbs, and along with that, I put in 1/4 of a cup of sugar and just kind of stirred that around with a fork. And then to that, I added 1/2 of a stick of unsalted butter that has been melted. And then I just stir it all together with a fork. You could totally do this in the food processor if you wanted to and use whole graham crackers instead and do it that way, but I didn't want to pull out the food processor, and I already had the crumbs in the pantry as it was. So I just went with what I had on hand and did it this way. It was easier to wash the bowl and the fork than it was to take apart the food processor and wash all of those parts. So you're going to get that all stirred together and set it aside because the next step is assembling the parfaits themselves. So now it's time to assemble them. I did film putting the crust in the bottom, but apparently something happened and it didn't record. So you're going to put like 2 tablespoons of that crust down in the bottom of a cup and tap it down with your measuring spoon. And then just start adding in your cheesecake filling that we just whipped up. And I just eyeballed it and put it about 2/3 full. With that, you want to leave some room at the top for the other topping items, so don't fill it all the way up. Next, on top of the cream cheese cheesecake filling, you're going to put a caramel dip, and I use this Marzetti's, but as you can see, it's kind of solid, so I melted it in the microwave, a few seconds at a time, stirring in between, just enough to get it to where I could put some, like a thin layer on top of the cheesecake mixture like this. Now with the cheesecake mixture and this, you could put it in piping bags if you really wanted to, but I just used a spoon instead of wasting piping bags, and just as long as you're careful with it, you just don't want to make a big mess on the inside of the cup. You don't need a lot, just a little bit, a small thin layer, a couple of spoonfuls, really that's all you need. Just enough so that you can get some in every bite. You can kind of move it all around, just get it in there. Then after that, you're going to put in your apple pie filling that we cooked on top of the stove. I just divided all this up between the parfaits. I ended up making 8 total parfait cups. So if you have the recipe, then it will end up being 4 servings. So this ended up being 8 servings because I doubled it. So you're just going to add in your apple pie filling on top of that caramel dip on top of the cheesecake. And then the last step is garnish if you want to. You don't have to. I just grabbed the rest of but I had extra of the graham cracker crumb, so I just sprinkled some of that. You could also do whipped cream, homemade whipped cream, garnish with apple slices, whatever you want. I didn't put anything but this on top, and it worked out just fine. After that, I covered them all in some plastic wrap and stuck them in the fridge to chill for about 4 hours before we ate them. And let me tell you, they were so yummy. You've got to try these. They were so good. And that's really all it took. Just like that. Thanks for watching. We'll see y'all in the next video. Happy fall, y'all. Love ya. Bye.